Hey, I'm Amy Chang. I'm a nationally board certified health and wellness coach, and this is Healthy AF. In this podcast, I'll be bringing you all things health, from the newest health strategies to how to tackle those personal roadblocks that just will not let you move forward. So buckle in. We're going to be inspired and instructed, and dadgum, we're going to have a little fun on Healthy AF. Hey everybody, and welcome to Healthy AF. I left y'all on a cliffhanger last time, and I hated to do that, but I wanted to make sure that we were all together. So if you haven't listened to the podcast before this one, part one, you might want to jump back in and get there. It's only about 6-7 minutes, so super short, and this one will be too. So the last time we came together, we established that it indeed is July Freedom from Limiting Beliefs. Okay, that is our month. Freedom from limiting beliefs. I established that is why I have a job. That is why none of us do what we say that we want to do, even though we know that that's the thing to do and the thing that's worked in the past. Like, we know all of that, and yet we are not doing anything. Right? We talked about how important it is to work through this process with a coach. And we talked about how over time, if you get used to looking for limiting beliefs that hold you back from those things you really want to do, you're going to get quicker at it. And there's another skill there too. It's in letting go of those limiting beliefs so that you can step into that transformative action. And the more you practice that, the easier that one becomes too. But it takes a little practice and it takes a lot of support. And if this is the first time that you've ever really thought about what's going on between your ears that keeps you from doing anything out here and really making changes in your life, then just give yourself some grace, slow down, and let's just get through the second step. So how do you know that, how do you know what you're really committed to when you are saying you want one thing, but you're not doing anything to get you to that thing? Well, there's a little shortcut you can take, and it's called your actions. I had a coach one time, I did not make this up, and it's brilliant, say, you've got two tongues. One is in your mouth and one is on your shoe. And one of them is lying to you all the time. And I pass that little gem on to my clients on the regular because it is very true. When your mouth is saying, I do not want to eat the Oreos, I'm going to eat healthy, I'm going to lose weight, I'm going to blah, 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 and your little feet are taking you over to the pantry, you just got to look at where your actions are. Your actions of what you're actually doing in your life will point you to the commitment that is driving that action every time. Every time. Now, this can be a bitter pill to swallow. Okay? So, when I say give yourself some grace, and I say that a lot, I say it on every single podcast. It's something that continually I find that people need to hear, myself included. Bring in the dump truck for this one. You're going to need a lot of grace, especially if this is the first time that you've ever really started looking at, maybe the reason I'm not losing that weight that I wanted to lose, or, getting that dream job that I got passed over for 40 times, it's because your actions are showing a different commitment. So I worked through this on, I mentioned last podcast that I've got a talk coming up in Raleigh. And I know that the very best thing for me to do to share with people in Raleigh that I know would love to see me do this talk and probably benefit from hearing about self-care. Who doesn't benefit from hearing about self-care 11 times? I know the best thing for me to do to share that message with them and invite them is to pick up the phone and call and personally invite them and let them know, hey, I'm going to be in Raleigh. I'd love to see you. This is what we're doing. And I do not want to do that. I don't want to do it. And I've known for like 2 weeks. By the time you're listening to this, I will have actually done that talk. So that'll be interesting. I've known now for 2 weeks that I need to make a list and start calling those friends and family members to let them know. And I haven't done it. So I was just walking through the house this morning, tidying up before sitting down to share with y'all. And I was thinking about limiting beliefs. And I was thinking about mine. Okay, Amy, let's put those sweet little painted toenails into the fire and just ask, what actions are you taking to get you to the goal of really sharing the message of self-care with 50 or so people in Raleigh? Well, when I look at it that way, what actions am I doing? I have to stop and assess what's going on in my world. So first, we really look at things that happen out here. What actions are happening? My mouth told my assistant, Chris, I'm going to make a list of people that I need to call. Okay, so I'm saying, that's an action. I'm talking about it. Okay, that happens a lot, right? We go around, we tell everybody, oh yeah, no, I'm going to make that trip to Fiji. Oh no, I'm going to start losing weight. No, I'm going to, if you catch yourself saying the I'm gonna multiple times and you ain't doing nothing else but saying I'm gonna, you've got a limiting belief somewhere, friend. So when I say to Chris, I'm going to make a list of all the people that I need to get in touch with for the Raleigh thing, but then the list doesn't happen. Okay. So I'm saying I'm going to make a list. Let's see, am I doing anything else? I am brainstorming. So even though it's not here in the outer world, I'm thinking about it. Who lives in Raleigh? Who might want to hear about this? And then I did actually invite a friend of mine. I was on the phone with her and said, hey, you should come to blah, blah, blah. She said, I'm going to be out of town. Okay, great. So I'm doing the low-hanging fruit, right? Like, full disclosure, this is my girl Shannon that I talk to every day. I talk to her every day. She lives in Raleigh. It still took me 2 weeks to mention to her, by the way, I'm speaking in Raleigh in a couple of weeks. You should come. All right. So I am inviting the low-hanging fruit. I am thinking about people who I know that live in Raleigh. And I am saying to my assistant, I'm going to make a list. Those are the 3 behaviors, the things that actually have happened. All right, let's get straight about that. And then there's 2 other questions. What am I thinking? Well, what I'm thinking is that I don't have time to make these calls. I'm thinking that I don't want to be rude. Like, some of these are older friends, like not older, like they're older than me, but old friends that like I don't see regularly. And I don't want them to see me as that person who like calls when I need something, calls to sell them something. Oh, ouch. That gets you right in the side, doesn't it? That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking I don't want to interrupt their day. I'm thinking, well, they're probably going to be traveling anyway. I mean, it's July. So I've got some thoughts. And if you're a good listener, you can hear that limiting belief that's beginning to emerge. Now, here's the tricky widget. When we work these by ourselves, we are likely to not hear that limiting belief that's emerging. We're likely to believe that people really are too busy with their summer, so there's no reason to call. We're more likely to believe they're going to think I'm such a poopy head that I haven't talked to them in 2 years, and I'm calling to say, like, hey, I'm coming to Raleigh, and I'd love to just invite you to come. Right? So you hear that limiting belief. As a coach or as a person who has your best interest at heart, that person will put your little twinkle toes into the fire and have you see that that is not true. That is a thought that you're having. Okay. So when I bumped up against, I'm not calling anybody, and I keep saying I looked at my actions, what's actually happening. Then I looked at my thoughts. What am I thinking? And the last step is to, what am I feeling? What are my emotions about this? My emotions, I think, are really like, maybe I'm a little embarrassed, or there's that, like, not good enough is popping up for me right now. What do I have to say about self-care that's so cool? Which is such BS. I will tell you, this girl has lived it, right? I have a story to tell and wisdom to share, right? I've not only been trained in it. Right, that's so important to note. If I put my experience down on paper for you, from 30 years of nursing to marriages and divorces and parenting and being coached for investing all the time and money that I have invested in my own personal development, from having a business for the last 4 years and coaching dozens of people on to feeling better, transforming their health through their lives, or they're transforming their life through their health. Like, it's such BS. And yet, it's right there. That thought of, why would anybody listen to me about self-care? And that emotion, that feeling of, oh, man, what if they don't like what I have to say? What if they're thinking like, oh my gosh, why would I listen to her? That emotion of feeling doubtful and scared. Yeah, that fear of failure is a big one, right? Yeah, just feeling scared of what they might think of me. So I hope you're getting a sense of the excavating that happens when we stop and look at what our feet are actually doing and the thoughts and feelings associated with that. So the spot here that I want to stop, and I want to stop here, in the next episode, we're going to cover, okay, I'm getting close to seeing what's keeping me from doing the things that I know I need to do. Okay. So we're going to cover, like, how do I sharpen that up? How do I really get to that thing? And then how do I let that go? That probably could be like a whole month. In fact, I do think I have a month on the calendar planned called letting go because it's a big one, right? So I hope you're getting a sense for yourself that the reason we need bucketfuls of grace in this step is because we got to be honest about, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing what I say I'm doing. I'm doing other stuff. I'm doing the thinking. I'm doing the low-hanging fruit. But I'm not doing anything that's going to really make a difference. And to really be able to say that and be honest about it and stand in it, you got to give yourself some grace around that too. And then the other thing you get to when you look at your behaviors, your thoughts, and your feelings, that other place you get to is give yourself some grace, because all of this makes sense. All of the thoughts you're having, all of the feelings you're having, and the behaviors that you're doing and not doing fit together like a little puzzle. When a stove is hot, we pull away our hand. Makes sense. If somebody walked by a stove that was cold and pulled away their hand, you'd be like, what are you doing? Maybe you couldn't see the fire. Maybe you couldn't see that it was hot. When you're not doing what you say you're going to do, there's a reason you're not doing it. You just don't know it. It all makes sense. It's always going to make sense. Your actions will always line up with your commitments, and that is why you got to take a peek at them. So give yourself some grace for that, because you're not as crazy as you think you are. You're not as incapable as you think you are. You're not so far down the path that your experience can't help you get out and help somebody else get out too. All right, part 3, we're going to talk about how to sharpen up, like, really, what am I believing? And how to let that go. I will see you then. Like, share, subscribe this podcast. Thank you for being with me. Give yourself some grace and a big old hug and a little bit of freedom. I'll see you next time. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Healthy AF podcast. I hope that it has helped you create a new possibility for your health and sets you into action to go get it. If you want more information, or if you want to connect with me, visit my website at myhealthylife.coach. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button so that each new Healthy AF episode will be sent directly to you. Let's take you from where you are to where you want to go.